Hey all, I thought I would make a quick video now that we're further into mod 16. I've had a play around with the Warlock, Ranger and Paladin. I think I've got a good grasp of the Warlock, how it works, how the powers work, and kind of what synergizes with each other. So I'm just going to run through a very quick rotation and setup for AoE, because I know there's been a few people from a guild and alliance and they were struggling a little bit with the changes. So I thought I'd bring out a video just to show very quickly what you can do. So this is what I'm running at the moment. But I like the setup like that. So it's Fiery Bolt, Curse Bite and Killing Flames. So I'll go through the feats and stuff as well, because they all synergize with each other, and that's kind of makes the rotation work. So very quickly, Hellish Rebuke is the only at will I use. So I'll just spam that trigger when I've not got an encounter to use. Dailies, I really like Curse Souls for AoE, because it does a large amount of damage to lots of different targets. Like Tyrannical Curse is good, but the extra damage that it does to the other targets is pretty negligible, but the initial hit is bigger. So what I tend to use is a Curse Souls, and I might use Tyrannical Curse on a boss just because it's the hardest hitting one. For class features, if I'm soloing, it's definitely going to be No Pity, No Mercy and Dust to Dust. So No Pity, No Mercy is basically the one that gives you combat advantage when you crit. And then Dust to Dust is damage dealt is increased by 5%. So as a DPS class, that's a no-brainer. And then if I am in a group, I'll probably run All-Consuming Curse, just so if my encounters aren't up that curse an enemy and I want to use Curse Bite, then I can just at will a few enemies and then use Curse Bite. So run through the features. So the choices here were Double Scorch or Power of the Nine Hells. So Double Scorch basically just increases the damage that your tab button, your R1 button does. And Power of the Nine Hells gives you 12 soul sparks when you use daily power, which is not that great. So I'll definitely use Double Scorch. This is the choice where Parting Blasphemy is a lot of the damage that from this rotation. These are both really good. It's a shame it's a one or the other. So Warlock's Curse is you deal 10% more damage to targets afflicted with lesser curse. Parting Blasphemy is whenever you remove lesser curse, it deals 75 magnitude damage. Now this sounds really weak, but it actually adds up to a big portion of the damage, especially because of how quickly Warlock powers come back compared to the other classes. So that's what I'm running on AoE, and it works a treat. For boss fights, I'd switch it, like have a different loadout and have Warlock's Curse. So next one is Risky Investment. So this makes Soul Investiture grant you 5% damage to encounter damage for each stack. Now what Soul Investiture is you've got lots of powers that will summon a soul puppet on certain interactions. When you would summon that soul puppet, that will give you a stack. The other option is Soul Desecration. So your soul puppet no longer dissipates after 20 seconds, deals 10% more damage, and you automatically summon one when it's not active. This is okay, but it's nowhere near what that is. Like, the soul puppet doesn't do a huge amount of damage anyway. He also attacks really slow. And I also find I have one up all the time anyway, because of the rotation, and we're always consuming curses. We've got one active most of the time, especially with Killing Flames. When you kill an enemy with Killing Flames, it still spawns a soul puppet. So this is one where everyone's probably picking Creeping Death, because it sounds like it should be good. 10% additional damage over 5 seconds. I think it must be broken, because it literally does no damage. If you have a look at your log on the bottom when you're fighting, and I did the same on PC, it just does 0 damage. I mean, I think a lot of the times it was registering like 3 digits, wasn't even getting up to 1,000. Whereas Executioner's Gift, your powers deal up to 20% more damage as your target's health diminishes, works really well. Like, you don't notice it as much on mobs if you're quite high powered, because they're going to be dying really quickly, but on bosses you certainly notice it. And then the last one, neither are brilliant. So every 6 soul sparks spent on Soul Scorch reduces your encounter. That's a bit of a tongue twister. Reduces your encounter powers by 1 second. So I do use the tab function, and mainly for this. So I'll use 3 encounters, and then I'll use tab just so my encounters get reduced cooldowns. And with Hellish Rebuke, you actually build up your soul sparks quite quickly. And the other one is whenever your soul puppet attacks, your encounter powers are reduced by half a second. So it does reduce your encounters, but I just find their attack really slow, and I've tried it and not noticed much of a difference. So we'll now go in and have a look at rotation. I'm not going to include any artifacts, mounts, anything like that. This is just simple rotation that you can run around Under Mountain with and kill stuff. And it's simple. So you basically Fiery Bolt, and that will then curse the enemies in the vicinity. You then hit Curse Bite, which, as you'll see, it deals damage and then additional damage with Parting Blasphemy. And then you would stick a Killing Flames on and hope it crits, because that hit was pathetic. So again, Fiery Bolt. I have a feeling I've got one of the wrong powers on here, because something's not right. Nope, I've got them. I'm just wondering why my Hat Wheel was casting. But yeah, this, when you do this on a bunch of mobs, it kills most of them. There might be some bigger enemies that it doesn't, which is what Killing Flames is for. So again, Fiery Bolt, Curse Bite, Killing Flames. That looks much better when there's orange numbers flying everywhere. Now the other option is, if you don't find you're really needing to use Killing Flames, you can always swap another AoE power. I'd probably put on Blades, just because you can use it when you're using other items. And the curse energy is that it flings the knives at the target. So you would Fiery Bolt, then Blades, let them do their thing for a little while, and then Curse Bite. So you don't, the synergy doesn't really matter in terms of the encounters. It's just a nice thing to have at certain points. But I still would do it fairly quickly. In fact, I'd probably even hit Blades first, then that, and then your Curse Bite. And as I say, when you're going through Under Mountain, this will kill most stuff. So let's try it with a wheel and my mount power. So again, you can see it does really good damage, and you won't be troubled by most enemies. So that's really all I wanted to go through, just to give you a quick setup. If you're really struggling, set this up. It works really well. I will be tweaking it and bringing out a proper guide, but I just wanted to get something out so people can see that it is still possible, and that actually there is still quite a bit of sin the Warlock. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.